Okay, since I did quite a lot in the last two recordings, and there's 3 characters here, I'll do one for me and the other 2 for you. Okay. Oh, and
Okay.
it's Dirk again. Guess I'm doing most of it once more. So you're doing Rose and the red text.
Rose and red text?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Customarily, we speak in variable terms about getting to know each other as people. Humans, I mean. I doubt trolls are as fixated on this concept as one is widely understood to have preconceived merits. The more we learn about each other, the more the barriers between us fall, and the closer we become. And since birth, this idea is stationed in the part of each human mind which is perfectly immune to dangers of challenge or scrutiny. To grow closer to know each other is what it means to embrace our mutual humanity, what it means to be vulnerable, what it means to realize intimacy, uh, an intimacy implied as a form of divine birthright. And no question is, and to question is this in any way is succumb to dysfunction, to pathological insular, insularity. Sorry, to social, to sociological sin. Sorry,
Yeah. You're
is
doing
to
great.
renounce. Thank you. It is to renounce humanity itself, is it not?
Yo, hold on a sec. This just dynamite, I promise. Gotta take care of something. Rose's phone is ringing, and I know I'm in for an encore of my last dead-end conversation with Kanaya, so I block her number. I'd like to be able to attend to Rose in peace. It's only cordial for me to give the greater percentage of my attention to someone I actually invited over, than acting like I can hold her horses. Rose isn't speaking to me directly. She's been relocated somewhere in the workshop a little more comfortable than the fucking floor. There's a serviceable couch along the far wall, placed there for visitors, but never once used for that purpose until now. I cleared off the spare parts and circuit boards that piled up there, and laid her down in the reclined position she's in now. Her head is in her hands again, hair falling over her shoulders. Her face is entirely hidden from me. Her shadow is faded as the light behind her, assuming the shape of a rose-like apparition. I nod to her, and she continues. When she speaks, it's almost like as if it's the apparition is doing the talking.
But it is really, is it a really good idea to know a person, know them inside and out so thoroughly that if two people were to know each other in such a complete way, what remains of their individuality?
If you're going there, we might as well start at the bottom and define what an individual even is.
Oh dear God.
I place my hand on my chin and broadcast the appearance of being deeply pensive about philosophy all of a sudden. She gulps hard, broadcasting her grim realization I have indeed become as serious as she's about this. Literally any kind of intellectual problem could pour out of my mouth any second, and she's not prepared. For all she knows, I'm about to start quoting Kierkegaard.
Please don't start quoting Kierkegaard
You never even read Kierkegaard, have you?
like you have.
Hey, where I come from, Wikipedia is a venerated literary resource. So if I told you I boned the hell up on his pages, you gotta believe me. That's not meant as like a punchline or anything. I'm a really, really well-read dude.
But there were only two human beings alive where you came from, who especially were the academic congosca
Cognoscenti, I think.
that word from your era to determine what sources were deemed respectable.
That would be me, obviously.
Okay.
I suppose you're going to tell me you haven't read enough Wikipedia articles on loads of scholarly shit to fancy yourself an elite academic by 25th century standards as well.
No, I guess I have. I'd be one of the top intellectuals that measure a measure by set by, I guess, literally one solitary self-absorbed teen boy from for the express purpose of making himself feel clever.
Absolutely correct.
Pretty astounding when you think about it.
What?
That apparently in any given era, that's the standard of depth of intellectual mastery is inversely proportional to the depth of the ocean. Really makes you think.
Does it?
No.
It's one hell of an observation regardless, considering we finally established the fact that we both read the entire Wikipedia page on self-determinism, like possibly more than once even. Let's have a totally amateur debate in philosophy. Hit me with the classics.
Um,
I'll go first. God is dead.
that's a good one. Careful when you say that. You could really ruffle some feathers out here.
I'm not a fucking idiot. I keep my potent rhetorical weapons of pure logic safely holstered at all times. You go.
I think, therefore I am.
Solid. Check it out though. The Hegelian dialectic on history.
Holy shit, not sure I can keep up with this. How about subjectivity is truth?
Wrong but valid. Try this on for fucking size. Late 19th century existential phenomenology presupposes that free will was a thing.
I don't think I bookmarked that page. Can't back you up there.
But what if there's no free will?
You didn't put that in quotes. Is that a uh, hack that word reference, or are you just actually riffing now?
I'm riffing.
I see. Asking the hard question. It's about time to second hand the balls too.
Yeah, I've
With
always been
about this one.
underappreciated for my brutal intellectual honesty. It's even when I was living alone in the middle of the ocean, if you can believe it.
I think I think free will is a thing, sure.
Are you sure about that? Haven't we spent the entire day having a feelings jam on how none of us got here by accident? Our lives were meticulously planned from cloneception up through the very post-canon moments we find ourselves riffing in, about the very free will we probably don't even have. Don't you think it's all a little too convenient?
This seriously is just a conversation between two stone people now. The bad kind where neither one even gets to be high.
Seriously, Rose, do you think that you have free will?
I
Stand up. She tries to stand up, but I haven't narratively allowed it yet. Her hands don't even moved. She tenses, then relaxes into couch again, giving up in the attempt. She attributes it to exhaustion and all-encompassing sense of weakness due to her condition. Of course, she has been weakened by her condition, and thus she suspects nothing. Never mind, you shouldn't be moving much in your condition, remember? I'll sit. I sit beside her and cross my legs casually. It's all done in one fluid motion, in a way that serves as a seamless transition between the points I'm making, like a magician asking a volunteer to hold his handkerchief as he continues his verbal misdirection uninterrupted. It's done deftly enough that she doesn't notice how close I end up sitting to her. To be honest, I don't even notice myself until I've done it. I continue speaking, and she remains rapt. But now even I can't help but wonder where I'm going with this. Logically speaking, individuality is a collection of processes and properties, interrelations of matter and experience all bundled together. Your experience and processes don't want to be bundled together anymore. A moment goes by, and she's quiet, perhaps puzzling over what I said. Then I remember I haven't narratively permitted a response. I'm forgetting myself like a fool, distracted by the surprise my own actions have caused me. I resolve to stay focused, remain in control. I let her speak.
I don't understand.
You do though. We've been talking about it, but using different concepts. Your ultimate self, that's that which is revealed when the mind's partitions are stripped away, and all potentiality of who you are and what you could have been thrown together. Those are the experiences and processes that are refusing to stay bundled. That's what your body can't endure. The unbundling itself is your mind coming apart, because you're not as strong as me, not yet. But you can be. I'm working on that. But for now, I focus on stabilizing you with my own expanding consciousness. It's enveloping you now in a way you can't see, keeping your thoughts solid. Your identity anchors your physical form as it strains to hold itself together. You can't see it, what I'm talking about, but I can help you. I can help you see what I see, if only for a little while. All you have to do is open your eyes. Maybe what you see will help you through this. Is that what you'd like, Rose? Her eyes are shut. Her look of concentration speaking to the migraine she must be fighting now. Small beads of sweat appear on her forehead. She won't respond, and not because I haven't allowed it. Rose, stop being a fucking martyr and open your eyes. Rose opens her eyes. Not her physical eyes, she opens the others easily, internally, beholding a field of perception elsewhere entirely. They see what I want her to see, that which quietly desires to be seen. She loses track of my voice, which begins to mingle with these words. I offer her my hand, my physical hand. Without opening her physical eyes, she lifts her hand from her lap and places it in mine. I put my other hand on top of hers, and wait as she drifts beyond the torment of her unbundling mind. My words feel like her own intimate force, and my distant voice in the room at the same time. Open your eyes wider. What do you see? We're not in my workshop anymore. Physically, yes, we're still here, but in our higher textual plane, we pull back from that, from Earthsea itself. Rose takes in a shuddering breath and runs an invisible pair of hands afforded by her new size over the narrative whole cloth and begins smoothing out the wrinkles.
See, John,
Doing exactly what you told him to do, like a good boy. What's there to be upset about? You knew this was how it was supposed to go down.
we could have made another choice.
Then where would we be?
Who knows?
No, that wasn't a rhetorical question. If John could have made another choice, then you can see what it says. If it can happen, then it's been written. And if it's been written, you can read it right now.
I don't know if I want to see.
If there's no free will, then there's no regress either. Look harder. She looks harder. I'm not going to describe what she sees. First of all, that would be spoiling it, unless you already know, in which case I guess what's taking place here qualifies as something closer to dramatic irony. But if you really want to see it for yourself, stop what you're doing, flip the whole thing over, and begin again. I'll be right here when you get back, waiting. Trust me, no one's going anywhere. So, what do you think?
It's difficult to say. Suppose there are negative and positives. I can't say if that opinion would be any better or worse than we're experiencing now. Whichever way our fate unravels, there's too much of something, too much blood, too much sugar. I almost can't see through it. It's as if our extra canon reality, our surroundings, our actions, and their consequences, they've all lost the ability to blend the ingredients responsibly. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
As if the moment we entered the victory state, everything began to slowly congeal, and when John made his decision, it accelerated the process. The congealing intensified, causing a sort of grotesque conceptual clumping, concentrating the constituent properties of consumption into unbearable doses. Like when you get to the bottom of a sweet drink and all that is left is syrup.
It's growing dark around her again. The apparition she's been projecting behind her fades, and she starts to bleed light and shadow in all directions. Her physical eyes are open now and shining bright. It's a striking sight. She's beautiful, actually, diaphanous and disheveled and filled with all the limitless lies of meta-spiritual curiosity. But for all the effervescent mysticism of her otherworldly being, I feel like this is the very first time I'm truly seeing her for what she's always been to me. She's my daughter in every sense of the word, my equal, my mirror. It used to be odd to consider it, and technical facts I'd accept as genetic reality, but nothing that could ever quite penetrate down to the soul. But in this moment, it doesn't feel strange at all. It feels right, suddenly, and I know she must feel the same way. There's no way she doesn't. All she needs is a nudge in the right direction. We're family, we belong together, and after years of micromanaging the inconsistent and confused desires of total imbeciles, wouldn't it be a relief to have someone by my side who understood me? You're almost there, and all your eyes are open, Rose. Now all you need to do is take a step off the precipice. It'll be a long fall, but I'll catch you.
But what if the person you catch isn't me anymore?
Who gives a fuck? She'll be better. And there, right there, is the moment she lets go. She uncouples herself from the creaking, buckling partitions of her physical mind, and her consciousness dissolves into a space more vast, a domain given structure and order by my words of conviction. She's permitted the barriers between us to fall, to allow us to know each other more perfectly. As she was saying before, to resist this, to question this in any way, will be to succumb to dysfunction, to pathological insularity, to sociological sin. Would it not be to renounce humanity itself? And yet, ironically, renouncing our humanity is exactly what we've arguably just done. Good riddance, I say. Her body should be dead now, but I'm holding it together until I can implement the more permanent solution I have in mind. All in due time. For now, what is there to do but save this moment, to appreciate her final waking minutes as a being of flesh and blood? She turns, and the light from her eyes is blinding. It dims a bit as she lowers her eyelids. She regards me with an almost unbearably bright adoration, the kind that's difficult to look at directly, but you can't manage to look away either. It's like the first time you see the green sun. Of course it is, because that's the way I'm describing it. The truth belongs to me, and as of now, so does she.
I see it now. You're right.
Have I ever not been?
You.
A wrinkle in her brow. It smooths out quickly. She murmurs to herself, trailing off quietly.
What time is it?
I step forward and steady her, hand firm but gentle against her cheek. That's all she needs, a stable anchor. Rose, does time even exist? You already know the answer. Jade kicks her shooter's feet behind her slowly, as if she's swimming with the currents of the gravitational waves pulling her ever closer to their source. Her feet aren't completely bare, they're still covered by her Grace-Dried witch stockings, but the ruby slippers are gone. She kicked them off hours ago, as if digesting all hope of returning anywhere resembling a place she used to call home. The fond remembrance of such a place no longer has any pull on her. Now, something else entirely is pulling her. Believe me, I'm sympathetic to temptation. It's always just there, isn't it? A limitless reservoir of emptiness perfectly available to you, patient in omnipresence and omnipresence, and dead ahead. As someone who grew up in the middle of an ocean completely alone on a planet purged of human life 400 years before I was born, I understand the feeling well. But something isn't right here. She should really reconsider whatever it is she may be about to do. There's something about being alone for so long, it makes time feel like it doesn't exist. She knows this almost better than I do. Jade also knows well enough by now that time doesn't actually exist in a literal sense, the way we generally understand it. It's just one aspect of many, and the complement of our own, space. It can therefore be neutralized by the introduction of her essence, reduced to white noise or soft light. The continuum of time is therefore demonstrably an illusion. The field of sequential moments and physical conditions that stretch on, resulting in a mirage of loneliness, is pure projection of disproportionate attention given to a single side of one cosmic polar pair of ideas, time. It's my way of saying, and thereby alerting her mind to what she already knows, that this feeling of all-consuming solitude and despair haunting her since childhood, it's in her head. The thing of time is a little contrivance in her mind as a byproduct of imbalance, of the vast disparity between her limited self and her ultimate self. It lives rent-free there the way Dave once did, and with this version of Jade probably still does. He made fun of her sometimes when they were kids because she couldn't always keep real and fake things straight, but he never meant it seriously. It was just the way he showed that he cared, which is one of the things Jade always liked so much about him, that he's clumsy and genuine underneath it all. Maybe Dave broke her heart a little, and he keeps doing it too, no matter how many different timelines they try out. She sits closest to the event horizon, still making no effort to impede her descent, but persuasion skills are admittedly a little rusty. Bear with me here. In my experience, there's something about being alone that can take a person's limited speech tension and make it imagine it can see beyond the confines of its own electrical processes. Make it believe that it is ascending to a place where it can see the four dimensions spread out beneath it like a set of windows, like sheet music, like a garden where Jade used to spend so much of her time with her hands in the earth and the clouds, dreaming about flowers that bloomed in 6 colours and grew when she played them a song. Was that real? It's hard to tell. But it made her happy, didn't it? Isn't that what she needs right now? Isn't it reasonable to presume that's the only thing capable of persuading her to slow her descent, to being invited to imagine, fake or otherwise, that which once made her happy? That which could still make her happy, if only she slowed down, think about it, and do whatever is necessary to place herself in those surroundings again? It's possible that manning the other end of suicide hotline transmitted through pure force in a metatextual format may not actually be my true calling. I'm doing my goddamn best here. She just isn't slowing down for some incomprehensible reason. Perhaps my touch is too soft. It wouldn't be the first time. Perhaps the limits of persuasion itself are being tested by the most powerful gravitational force to ever exist. Or perhaps it's true that this insistence is just the more effective half of persuasion. So I'm insisting now. Jade Hardy will not go into that hole. She does not want us all to see what happens when she unsettles the spirit residing there.
Oh, sorry. She does, though.
Fucking yikes. Jade throws on the brakes. I say she does, but by now the gravity is overwhelming. Is she even trying to resist, or is it just that it's useless to try? I'm not sure I can tell. Jade realizes, preferably before it's too late, that this is fucking serious. She needs to turn this around. She doesn't want this. She doesn't want to die.
She wants to return to me.
Alright, I'm done messing around. Your name is Jade Hardy. You decide right now that you do not want to die. You resist the pull of the black hole with all your might. What would killing yourself accomplish? Sure, most of your friends are dead, but John is still looking for you. Do you want to let him down? Do you want to crush his soul? Do you have any new appreciation for what he's going through, Jade? He can take you home, to your new home, Earthsea, the home I made for you, Jade. Your friends are all there, alive and well. Rose, Dave, Carcat, Dottie Adult, Jade, Jane, Jake, Roxy, me. You wouldn't want to disappoint them. You wouldn't want to disappoint me, would you, Jade? You can avoid all this, the unpredictable consequences about to be unleashed by your thoughtless acts. You can still turn this thing around. It's not too late.
But it's too late.
Christ, you're close now to the ceiling of the cancerous deformity. Too close, just skimming the edge of this thing's vicious horizon. You dip your toes through the place where the singularity is snapping everything apart at the seams. It's so loud that it's completely silent. You can already feel yourself stretched thin, distorted, pulled out with your descent elongated for all eternity. When you look down, the strikes of your witchy tides go on and on for miles. Please, Jade, don't ever say I didn't try to stop this.
She closes her eyes and lets go.